the True Objective Podcast with Objectivist girl Lauren Rumpler and Liberty.me writer Calvin Thompson. The True Objective Podcast, dispelling myths about our society. Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of the True Objective What is Love series. We are on part 2, and we are so excited right now. So you'll notice that it is just me today. My co-host Calvin will not be joining us. We'll be having a conversation about that at the end of the show. But right now, I want to go ahead and turn it over to our lovely guests. First of all, we have Ricky, and he is bisexual. So today we are talking about sexual orientation, and I want to ask Ricky, what does that mean to you to be bisexual?
Well, it means a lot. I mean, to be honest, people talk about sexuality as if it's just gay or straight, but I guess us bisexuals, we fill in the gray in between. It's hard being a bisexual man because, you know, like, being queer as in, like, the sexuality sense, like, doesn't seem to be it's harder to get woman, but then you would think also that it would be for some people it's a plus in the gay dating scene, but other people it's not. It's weird. It's a conundrum.
Interesting. Well, I am actually bisexual as well. For me, being bisexual means that I'm attracted to both men and women, but I am attracted to them for different reasons and in different ways. It's actually, I guess it kind of led into me being polyamorous, because I felt like I didn't really want to have to choose between the sexes. And so to me, I see them as, I guess, a black and white kind of thing, is like women fulfill certain needs for me and men fulfill certain needs for me. And, you know, I always say that the pansexual's got something figured out that I don't. So I would love to ask Laurel. Laurel, as a pansexual, what does that mean for you?
The way that I've actually come to explain pansexuality is that I am attracted to humans on a case-by-case basis, regardless of sex, gender presentation, or lack thereof. So it's really on a case-by-case basis. And I honestly think that I have this little theory floating around my head that no one can actually say for sure if they are straight, bisexual, gay, pansexual. Because what if someone were to come into the picture who did not originally fit their predetermined, you know, this is what I like, and just, like, blow their mind. So I think pansexual, for me, is a safer way to go. So, you know, that's what it is.
Interesting. Very interesting. And Kai, you're also pansexual. Can you tell us a little bit about what that means to you?
Sure. I identify closely with what Laurel said. It's not something that I pay much mind to on a daily basis, or I put much. It's just a label that fits most easily to identify to other people how I seek my own sexuality. I don't identify or choose a gender specifically that I'm attracted to because it doesn't have any bearing on that for me. I'll look at a man that identifies as a man and appreciate his Gracian form or muscle structure, but a woman might have a different aspect to her that I enjoy, in the same way that you described, Lauren, that each person will give you something different. It's the same kind of thing. And I don't choose to limit myself based on some arbitrary biological aspect of someone to what I could be attracted to.
Awesome. See, yeah, and I think that's the real difference is what I'm hearing is that bisexual people see men fulfill one thing and women fulfill another thing versus Laurel and Kai, who are pansexual, who kind of see it as people fulfill different needs and people have different qualities. So I guess, that's really cool and actually very evolved. And I think that's kind of amazing. I kind of admire that. I guess, we all look at men and women as so different in our society based on these silly gender roles that we set up. When they really don't fit those gender roles. I wouldn't say that I fit the stereotypical gender role of a female. I prefer going kickboxing more than I do sewing. And I mean, Ricky, I'm sure you totally understand this. You probably don't fit those stereotypical male roles either, do you?
No, not at all. Like, my experience of discovering that I was bisexual, it kind of matched all my gay friends and their stories of realizing it, like just the differences between men. A really good book that I recommend to anyone is oh god, it's so awkward because I totally forgot what it was called now. Just kidding.
It's okay. I'm sure it'll come to you.
It will. Oh, On Being Different.
On Being Different.
I forgot who wrote it, but basically it's about this. It's this guy who talks about his experiences being a gay man, but back in the 50s. And one line that really stuck with me was that he would eat as many Wheaties as possible, thinking that it would make him like the man on the Wheaties box, but that never happened. And my experiences with masculinity is kind of summed up into that, where I did a lot of manly things. I tried a lot of manly things, thinking that it would just come to me. Like catching a football would just instantly make my voice a couple octaves lower, and just give me the urge to objectify women, but that just never happened.
Interesting. So Laurel, do you feel like you really fit into the female identity that society holds?
Absolutely not, and I think that you've probably been around me enough times to know that personally, and Kai can definitely attest to that as well. I've found in the same way that those of us who are poly, we kind of don't fit those norms. Those of us who have an alternative sexuality don't fit those norms. I don't find that I fit the gender norms either. I will say, though, that my gender expression tends to complement whoever I happen to be in a partnership with at the time. So if I'm with someone who is uber masculine, I usually compliment them. If I'm with someone who's very feminine, usually I'm a little bit more masculine. So it kind of varies. And I actually, on a daily basis, I'm probably more androgynous than anything. So no, not at all.
Yeah, and how about you, Kai? Do you feel like you fit the regular gender role that males are supposed to fit?
To use the, I find it kind of silly term, cis. Familiar with that? I don't identify as, but most people would view me as a true identified male. I don't buy into the expectations, and I don't live by them. I don't particularly identify as androgynous, but at the same time, I do a lot of feminine things naturally. I don't pay mind to them. It's just something that I am.
Interesting.
The same as I'm naturally male and I do naturally male things. It's just something that occurs and I embrace.
Very cool. Very cool. I like what Laurel said about complimenting your partner. I feel like I do the same thing. If my male partner is more feminine, I tend to take on the more masculine role. And, in all of those different versions, if my boyfriend's more masculine or my girlfriend's more masculine or my girlfriend's more feminine, I definitely feel like I take on those roles. Now, Ricky, I know that you're bisexual, so you kind of see eye to eye with me on the difference between dating males and females. And I was wondering, do you tend to date more females or more males? Because I tend to date more males.
I tend to date more males too. Bisexuality, the idea of gender fluidity isn't something that's not gender fluidity, sorry, sexual fluidity isn't something that's talked about with males a lot. So like in the context of males, so it kind of trying to get a woman is hard, at least for me. It could be other factors, but I have a running hypothesis that part of the reason why is because when most women see a bisexual male, they presume that he's gay because we live in a society where a homosexual act makes you homosexual. Like if you notice, I've always noticed that whenever like there was a gay scandal about a presumed heterosexual, they just go straight to he's a homosexual, even though logically he's bisexual. Like he still, had relations with his wife. He just also had relations with a dude too.
Oh, that's interesting.
And
I never really thought about that.
yeah, it's really interesting. Like, there's always been like a thing like, oh, bisexual only girls can be bisexual, men can't, and it's either you're gay or straight. New York Times did a piece a couple months back about like proving that sexual fluidity is a thing, that a man can kiss another man be and not be gay or have to identify as a homosexual. Because of course there's the romanticism that comes in it too. You can be bisexual and hetero-romantic or bi-romantic or however, whatever floats your boat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Laurel, I guess you're pansexual, so maybe you don't really keep score or think about it, but if you were to guess, would you say that you date more males or females?
I think that up until recently, I have dated more males, only because, again, kind of like Ricky, I grew up very religious as well. So it was one of those things where it was like, oh, well, this is just what's acceptable. So up until probably, I would say, like 6 years ago, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, I didn't actually start experimenting or like acting on exploring like other sexes or other other gender identities at all. I would say now I probably still date more men. And this is going to sound like that horrible stereotypical girl who's like, oh, I only hang out with dudes. But the majority of, no, it's terrible. Oh, I only hang out with dudes. All of my friends, I can't stand girls. No, most of my friends are guys, but I think that also has to do with part of the fact that, as we are part of the Free State Project, or at least closely associated with it, there just are more dudes that I know. So it's been hard for me to actually find women that I actually want to date, especially in New Hampshire.
I totally know what you mean. For me, it's a certain type of female, and I would say I'm more picky about women than I am about men. There's a level of drama that tends to come with dating a female that I feel like I never ever get with a male. And maybe that's just the females I'm meeting, but do you have that experience, Laurel?
I do, and I think, and again, this is going to sound really stereotypical, but I think that biologically, I think that not so much dramatic, but that we're more emotive.
Yeah.
So again, like being biologically female, I think that we probably have higher standards for the women in our lives because we ourselves are women.
That's an interesting way to look at it.
That's kind of what I've always thought. I'm like, well, I would want someone who's like me in these ways and not like me in these other ways. But if I date a man, he's usually nothing like me.
Oh,
so.
I really like that. That's very interesting. Kai, what about you? Do you tend to date more females or more males?
I find myself dating a lot more females for the exact reason that Laurel finds herself dating more males than you. I hold men to a much, much, much higher standard that's pretty much unrealistic.
That's so funny because I do. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was I hold women to a very, very almost unrealistic standard that I do with men. For my reasoning is as a guy, I know my own shortfallings, and I guess I wanted. I don't know, maybe it's just internalized homophobia from high school, but I always just wanted to date that jock just to say I did, but I guess for that complimentary thing as well, I feel like there are things I have a tendency to date more masculine, to want to I have a thing for more masculine guys, so I feel like it would complement me better, I guess, than with a woman, but I don't know.
Interesting. I wonder what the difference is. Do you tend to spend more time with women and kind of I don't want to say identify with women more?
Oh no, yeah, I know bisexuals that are more hetero-romantic than homo-romantic, and I definitely am more homo-romantic. I identify as queer. I know tons of bisexuals that are just, I'm a manly man. I just do guys on the side, but I feel like I got the whole gay package with an additional LOL, sometimes women, but women don't like me thing.
Okay, so let's get down to the hard questions. So one of the hard questions, one of the things that people always ask is, why don't you just pick one? And I know this is ignorant, and I know that it's difficult when people say that because it kind of, it hurts and it's hard to explain to people why I can't just pick one, but I can't. It's just not the way that I'm made. It's not the way that I think. And I was wondering what you guys have to say to that. Let's end that question right now, if we possibly can, on air.
These people, when they go to a buffet, do they only eat the lao mein and don't touch anything else? I don't understand.
I would
have potatoes. What's going on with that?
I don't know. I'm gonna go to the buffet and eat everything. It looks good. Mm-hmm. My Tinder is the same kind of logic.
Well, and it's the same thing. We were talking about, was it last week or the week before? We were talking about polyamory versus,
we were talking about
polyamorous. Marriage, yes. Okay, yeah. So the different types of relationships and marriage. But I think it kind of ties into the same reason we're polyamorous, at least for, you and me and Kai, if I can speak for you. Yeah, but it basically is that thing of well, you can choose to have pizza or steak for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
Well,
see, that's how I see it.
I don't want to. Yeah, exactly. I want a steak pizza. I want everything. I want to be able to experience all that life has to offer to me. So.
And I guess that really ties into the polyamory thing. And I know Laurel and Kai are both polyamorous. And Ricky, are you polyamorous?
I'm into the hookup culture, but I'm ultimately monogamous.
Okay. Kai, what do you say to people that are just why don't you just pick one?
I ask, why would you? I have a bit of a bad habit, or good habit in my own opinion, of answering questions with questions. Why would you limit your experience in this world to something of such a binary? If you don't allow yourself to explore all these options, then you're choosing ignorance. You're choosing to be less than you could possibly know.
I love where you were headed just a second there with why choose something so binary. I love that idea. Why do you look at people as purely male and female? And, I guess, it makes sense coming from a pansexual to really be able to look at gender and say, no, this isn't all for me. I see people and I see these beautiful people and I want to have experiences with beautiful people. And so it's why limit yourself to one gender? Why even look at gender? Why does it make any difference?
Instead of genitals.
Exactly.
You can put either one in your mouth, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's about personally sapiosexuality. I'm being attracted to somebody's intelligence. I'm attracted to their person.
Exactly.
Whatever they have in their pants is tertiary to what attracts me to an individual.
Exactly. I think we're so caught up in the idea that love and sex are so intrinsically related, and that's so fake. It's so false. It's so much deeper than that. The connection you get with somebody when you look past the idea of just sex, and I guess, I'm being polyamorous has taught me that more than anything, is that there's so much more to love than sex, because when you're poly, you have sex with all the things.
All the things.
All the things. And you realize, like, there are people you really care about, and you can care about two at the same time, and it's not about, who I'm mashing genitals with. It's like, it just doesn't matter anymore. And so my cat just knocked over my camera. He's so cute. I love my cat very much.
You love the cats? No.
I have a cat, and he's
Terroristic cats are not cute.
They are adorable. I'm sorry, sidetracked.
There was a point that I kind of wanted to bring up.
Yes, please.
With everything that Kai was saying. Sorry about the sniffles. Certainly, the gender presentation or the biological sex of a person does come in kind of tertiary, but that's not to say that, like, physical attraction isn't there. I'm not just going to go, there's obviously something. I'm not psychic enough that I could tell from across the room that I'm going to have a connection with someone. Sometimes, it does start with that person over there is really hot. So, saying that, I don't care, what they have in their pants. Yeah, no, I don't. But there are certain things, like, what were you saying before, Kai, that you can appreciate, like the muscle structure of an attractive man, or like the curviness of a woman. Like, you can appreciate all those things. But at the end of the day, it's not like one of those things that matters. So there's definitely the attraction, but it's not the...
Oh, yeah. There can be physical attraction and recognition that, I don't think that it's about the things in their pants or under their clothes. For me, I like a good collarbone. I know that sounds really weird, but I think a nice collarbone is just like one of the sexiest features ever.
I like butts.
What?
I like butts.
You like butts?
Yay! Yay, butts!
But, moving on to an even tougher question, what do you think the biggest misconceptions are about, let's start with Kai. What do you think are the biggest misconceptions with being pansexual?
There's a lot of discussion about, okay, let me rephrase it. There's a lot of argument
about
what pansexual is. I absolutely refuse to take part in it because I know what I am personally, and I really don't care to get involved with such an arbitrary, emotionally charged, and ultimately useless discussion about that.
Amen.
What you are is what you are. What somebody else is what they are, and they know best what is for them. I realize, and I have confronted misconceptions about what it is. A lot of people believe that it's just another word for bisexual, and in their own opinion, that can be. I'm not going to argue them because they don't have that range of experience in order to understand my background or my argument in that arena. Whatever their misconceptions are their own issues, and perhaps I'm unique in this sense that I don't put any mind to it, regardless of their confrontation to what I identify as. I'm
that
sure
is so true.
There's going to be so many questions about it, and there's always going to be people that are challenging the semantic or the definition, and in the end of the day, whatever label you put on yourself is going to be only close enough for other people to kind of understand what you are.
Yeah, I think it's a failure of the human language, honestly. Because the range of emotions, it's so difficult to talk about emotions. I just normally just don't even do it. I don't engage in it because emotions are something that you're supposed to just enjoy, not something you're necessarily supposed to act on or something that you're supposed to communicate. Because when you do that, there's always the other person has this other filter about what it means and what your actions and your communication means. And so you're not actually communicating your emotions. You're just pretending to. Don't eat that.
Back to your question, the misconceptions about what pansexual may be. If I draw a parallel to that about what a bisexual may be, like Ricky said, he's more attracted to men naturally than women, but that's still an option for him. You're more attracted to men than women, being a woman, and it's a sliding scale. To make that analogy, there's always going to be slight differences within it, and just saying bisexual doesn't ever describe exactly what your preference is.
Agreed.
Like, it's never 50-50. Or it could be 50-50, but the next person might not be.
That's where the Kinsey scale is supposed to come into play, which I kind of always wondered with pansexuals. Do they reject the Kinsey scale? Because the Kinsey scale, it only is 3 options.
Yes.
Okay.
Laurel, do you reject the Kinsey scale and why?
Well, you know me, I'm a rebel.
Oh wait, first let's define what the Kinsey scale is. Ricky, since you brought it up, you get to define what the Kinsey scale is.
Oh God, well I'm not a psych major, but from what Google Images can quickly describe to me. No, but what's it called? It's basically from 0, you're exclusively heterosexual to 6, exclusively homosexual, and the quiz to put you on is based off past experiences that you want to have, and again, experiences that you're currently having, like your current dating practices, and for example, I lean more towards the 4, which is described as more than incidental heterosexual behavior. So I'm majoritively homosexual. I've had romantic relations with women in the past, which means I'm not exclusive, which is why I'm not a 6, but what's it called? It's usually as a bisexual, it's almost for lack of better terms, it's almost it's like my number one argument for the existence of bisexuality is the Kinsey scale. And I know, at least from Tumblr, that's always been a hot debate between bisexuals and pansexuals.
Interesting. I've never even heard of the Kinsey scale, so thank you for telling me about that. Laurel, you reject it. Why?
I reject the Kinsey scale only because it goes off of the notion that you are that male and female. If you're born a male, then you are male and masculine, and if you are born a female, sex-wise, not gender-wise. Can we define that? Does everybody know what that is? If you're talking about sex, that's what you biologically, that's your DNA.
Mm-hmm.
Gender is usually I guess what you're more comfortable as, if you are a woman or feminine or anything like that. So it's not your biological sex. So the Kinsey scale is assuming that there are only men and women in gender.
Oh, so it doesn't measure gender fluidity at all.
It doesn't no, not at all. So yes, I definitely reject it.
Well, then I reject it too.
Yay!
I mean, I don't know. I guess I can admit I've checked my privilege, and as I
we don't check our privileges here.
Okay, but I mean, as a cisgendered male, I don't know. My default for accepting everything is just liberty. So I don't need a reason, the scientific reasoning behind the alternative genders, because you can do whatever you want. I really don't care. But I guess for lack of better terms, a scientific. I'm gonna sound like such a bigot. I don't mean to, but it's very ignorant. I guess I I don't know, like, the alternative genders, I feel like it all boils down to masculine, feminine, but, like, I don't know, Tumblr has given me a million reasons why that's not true, so I don't even know anymore.
I don't even know anymore. Kai, what do you think of this scale?
It's a very rough basis that most people can easily place themselves on. It's useful for most people in being able to, again, identify to other people in a communicatable sense what and how they are sexually. However, it's not for everyone. It doesn't take into account any difference in personally identified gender. It doesn't take into account so many variables that could and do go into this.
But I mean, I would think, I don't know, like, let's say that you're you're a cisgendered male and you sleep with a trans male. Like, if this was Tumblr, I already have a million notifications off that alone. But, like, on the Kinsey scale, I mean, I would call that person a homosexual and then place them as a homosexual on the Kinsey scale. I feel like
if you were in Thailand, they would argue you in a second because ladyboys are considered female there. It's all about perception, and that's where it gets funny.
Interesting. Wow. I'm learning a lot. I'm really glad I had this show.
I was actually gonna bring up another thing completely. I don't know how much of this you want to share, Kai, but on days, it kind of
on Tuesdays.
On Tuesdays.
Only days that end in Y.
Being gender fluid and pansexual, there are days when I am either more masculine or more feminine. So this is probably gonna blow your mind, but I'm Kai's boyfriend. So I don't know, like, if that makes any sense to you. So that's the thing that you were talking about. It's like, okay, well, if you're a cisgendered male, or whatever, if you're a cisgendered male and you sleep with a trans man, which I guess for those days you could count me as, what does that make you?
Interesting. Kai, are you comfortable? Are you comfortable sharing this? Because, like, I'm totally intrigued.
I have no secret.
Tell me everything you possibly can about this, because this is
that's going to be a long show.
That's a long story.
Well, I mean, try to keep it to, like, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Goodness. I don't. Again, what I said, beginning and up to this point, I don't tend to identify myself under any. I don't shove myself in a corner. I don't tend to want labels for myself. They don't ever fit. They don't feel comfortable for me. It's just something that I try to find so that other people, when they ask in these situations in particular, they can understand somewhat my view. I'm very attracted to androgyny in women. I'm very attracted to extreme masculinity, as I said before, on a Gracian level, like carved out of marble.
Right, though? Oh my God, Nick Jonas.
I am very, very fit myself, so I hold other men up to unreasonably high standards. I want you to be like the statue of David.
I hope not that big.
But better hung.
That was just...
You know what? This is so funny, because, like, if I can just step in here real quick, because I do want to hear all of this, but what's funny is, as you're talking about this, I'm realizing that, and I think I've realized it before, but I've kind of shoved it to the back of my brain, but the men that I date are, and this is not an insult to any man I've ever dated, but they tend to be more, feminine, and I like that. I like, it was funny because I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and he's like, no, there's these stereotypical men that every woman likes, and I'm like, no, that's not true. the men I like have the tendency to be, skinnier and, leaner muscle. And, when I wrap my arms around them, I can get all my arms around them. Like, I don't know. I like men who feel feminine. I do. And I like soft hands. And I like, I like more feminine men. And I guess I've always just kind of thought of myself as a more masculine female. I like martial arts. I like sports. I like, rolling in the mud. Like, I'm a guy. Like, I behave like a guy a lot of the time.
So on that note, like what I was saying before, is I have a lot of very feminine virtues, I guess somebody could say. I have certain wants in my life, certain needs sexually and emotionally that are filled through very strange gender sexual roles. And as Laurel doesn't quite identify into a binary, to bring that term up again, I've known her for about over 10 years now at this point.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of background, and I guess it just kind of organically became what it is. It started off kind of as a joke, I guess, like, haha, you're my boyfriend, but really it's not. It wasn't ever. It's just something that we kind of laugh at because it's so rare.
Different.
Very different, but it's comfortable. It's just natural and it works.
That is the only thing that matters. And that's what I keep trying to push to people. The only thing that matters is if it makes sense to you. If you love it. We get very few options about very few things in life, and love is like one of the only things we get to choose every day. And it is so awesome that you guys have found what works for you. I'm so glad I had both of you on this show. This is like really turning out very well.
As you said, love, I have to disagree on a point. Love is not something that you choose. Love is something that is innate. Love is something that you can reject.
Well, Kai, you may be making it to my last show. I'm choosing people to argue with me on this one point, and I'm probably going to have them on my last show. So I haven't announced what the last show is about, but if you all can figure it out from just what Kai said, that's what the last show is about.
Wait, what?
Yeah, the last show is about what Kai just said. And I haven't announced it, and it's a secret. But because I don't want to get too much crap before the show.
Open up your Christmas presents before Christmas Day, apparently.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and so, but anyway, Kai, you just made my list. So there we go.
Baby.
Sweet.
Another list.
So let's see. What are some, and I think that this will probably take us through the last 20 minutes because it's like, this is a serious topic.
It is.
What are some of the ignorant things that people say to you?
Oh my god.
Let's start with Laurel.
Okay, well, it's alright. As Kai was saying, the only reason that I ever even applied a label to myself was so that people might get sort of an inkling of what I'm trying to explain to them. When I tell them that I am a gender fluid pansexual, they go, what? And then they'll be like, okay, but you're female. And I'm like, but I'm not. Like, I'm biologically female. And they're like, so you're a female. It's like they're very adamant about that. They can't wrap their brain around the fact that I am a spirit, or at least, a bunch of energy pulses coursing through a meat sack. So,
how sexy.
I mean, that's what it is, I've told people more than once, if you don't love me for my soul, I don't want to know you.
Can I ask a really ignorant question, though?
Yeah.
We're
talking about ignorant things.
I mean, this is just me, that lone right-winger on Tumblr, but I've always, I don't know, like, what does gender fluid, mean? Like, as horrible as this is going to sound, and I hope I don't mean some condescending, what do you wear for clothes?
Whatever I want.
Like,
Anything she
Depends on the
feels that
day.
day.
like okay, like I don't know, like so
Whatever
like
I feel, okay, so whatever I feel sexy in for myself, like, my normal go-to is honestly jeans and a hoodie.
okay.
That's
I've
it's
been
just
really, I've
whatever
been
I
really
feel.
getting into hoodies lately. Like
Well,
I
and
really
especially in New Hampshire.
Oh my
It's just like, it's
die on
cold,
experience.
New Hampshire will turn any female into a masculine male within like,
pretty much.
like
Like,
a
it's too
year.
damn cold to be sexy.
Too damn cold here.
I'm gonna start cutting down trees with an axe. We got a lot now.
I got an axe on the porch. I'm gonna go do it right now.
Oh my
Oh
god.
wow, that's hot. Okay.
So gender fluidity. It really, for me, again, these terms mean different things to different people, but for me, gender fluidity means that, or can mean that you are neither male nor female, but like in your gender or gender presentation, but you can express more of one, like masculinity, femininity, neutrality, like on a daily basis or as the day goes on. It's really just how you feel comfortable. And as I said before, I tend to compliment the people that I am seeing at the time. But on a daily basis, my most comfortable is completely neutral. When I don't have to be reminded of the fact that I'm biologically female or that I'm dressing like a man, I'm most comfortable. So I'm nothing at all.
It changes from day-to-day basis for you, Laurel.
Can I?
I don't mean to speak for you, but
No, go ahead.
having witnessed this and been with you for so long, your gender fluidity comes out. It's noticeable over time in that one day you are incredibly feminine, gorgeous. You go to a ball and dress whatever, and then the next day you might be up in what may as well be a suit, and for all somebody might know that you might be male.
It's totally true. I've seen her. That is how she is, and it's
that is
amazing. And she
fluidity.
looks astounding in all of it. I mean,
You
all
guys
of
are
it.
gonna kill me.
And it really does. It feels like it's whatever you wake up feeling closest to.
And it's so genuine. It's so awesome, and I've always admired you for that, Laurel. Just like
True expression.
your empowerment, your freedom of expression. Like I feel like you're more free than a lot of us. So let's see. What about you, Kai? What are some of the ignorant things people have said to you?
Nobody has said anything in a long time
But
that has really taken me back, at least to my face. I don't know if that's because of how I present myself as a martial artist. I've been doing it for years and years, and I'm approachable, but I think people are very careful as to what they say to me because I am somewhat confrontational. If somebody brings something up, I will challenge them on that. I have not had anybody insult me in longer than I can personally remember.
interesting.
So I can't really contribute to that, honestly. Not on my gender, not on my sexuality, even though I'm very, very open and vocal about it in public spaces. Way more so than people are usually comfortable with.
Were people tough on you growing up at all?
Yes.
Well, tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so in high school I used to wear skirts a lot. Like,
Oh.
leather skirts, kilts, not like the mall gothy kind of stuff. That was my deal as well, but they were legitimate skirts. And every now and then I would have somebody ask me if I was wearing a dress, and I would look them in the face, and I would say, yes, I am. And that would end the conversation right there. And the few people who would ask why, I would tell them to imagine that it's like a bell. And then I would swing my hips back and forth. And if they got it, I would laugh. If they didn't, I would laugh and walk away.
I just got it.
Okay, it's
It's freedom. It's freeing, and that's really the only thing that anybody really ever confronted me about. Because it was so in their face that it's the only thing that they could have really brought up. I've never had an issue with my sexuality. I've never been assaulted for it. I've never been bullied for that in particular.
Oh yeah, I've heard terror stories about people being assaulted for their sexuality. I'm
I'll
so
tell you, like, I didn't get like assaulted or anything, but I could give you like a whole like story about like how shitty people were in school about like sexuality.
People are shitty in school, period. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
yeah. Let's be honest. They're shitty.
I
Period.
was bullied for what may as well have been no reason at all. People are just awful people in general.
Yep.
They're ignorant. They're awful. They want to hurt other people. They want to spread their misery. I hate to be as negative, but let's be honest. That's how most people are.
It's
isn't
the honest truth. I got picked on. I mean, my audience knows. I got picked on. I got shoved in my locker all through high school. It's it's something that being a kid is so tough. And like, I was actually wondering, Ricky, you said that you got picked on as a kid for your gender, and I'm really interested in
not
that.
gender, sexuality.
For your sexuality. And I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about that, because maybe it might help some kids out there get the courage to still be who they are.
One thing it was really funny when I was younger. I was a Bible thumper because my parents they're immigrants from the third world, and like the first thing they went to was religion, so I did the same, and like so I was that like homophobe. Everyone's like, oh, you're a homophobe, but you're really gay, and it was like stupid. But like I used to I went to homophobia thinking that if I was homophobic, the kids wouldn't call me gay anymore, and that didn't work. But like, it was really funny what I found out later on in life, that half these kids were like engaging in homosexual activity, like the whole sexual fluidity thing. Like, it didn't make a lot of sense. Looking like now, like I did an essay in school about masculinity and like what it means to be a man in today's America, and basically like bullying works as a sanction system. Like you break certain norms, like norms that I broke where I hung out with girls most of the time. I really liked Lizzie McGuire as a kid. I didn't really have much patience for sports, stuff like that, and I got bullied because the kids at school wanted me to conform to what they believed was like correct. And then even when I went through that, like when I came out as bisexual, I even then still got the, oh no, like come on, you're gay, just admit it. And like it was fucked. Like I don't know, I've always been a Republican, and which was always really awkward in of itself, being a black queer Republican, but that's a whole different story. But like kids used to like used to write hate notes in my locker about how like I should vote for Obama and I'm doing all the other queers in the world wrong, and I'm the type of queer that should die because I'm not a Democrat. And the people literally wrote this in my locker. It made no sense.
I am so sorry. That is so horrible.
I mean, everything on senior graduation
is that kids in high school or in school right now are interested in politics to that level that they'll use it in insults.
Yeah, that's weird.
So weird. I went to a school that was very politically active, so it was it was weird. Like people, like kids, like 13-year-olds I knew used to go volunteer for Barack Obama. That's
I don't know if that gives me hope or despair that they're.
It's the People's Republic of Massachusetts.
In my school, people are like, your hair is stupid. You're dumb.
That sounded like my school. So at my school, I got in trouble for knowing big words and then asking people how the heck they don't know that word.
And I was
for being a nerd. I got in trouble for being a nerd.
Vocabulary shaming.
Newsflash, I'm a nerd.
Lauren, I actually had a question for you about this kind of thing. I'm sorry, Ricky, did you have anything else that you wanted to say? Did I cut you off?
Oh, no. I kind of wanted to bring up a point, too, but you say yours first, and I'll bring mine up after.
Well, I was going to kind of ask the same question of Lauren, and one of the things that came up when I was first experimenting, kind of branching out in my sexuality, was getting accused of being a barsexual.
Oh, my God.
Oh, Jesus.
Do you
Oh my god.
a barsexual? You know what I'm talking about, Lauren?
Does that mean you like to pick you only like
No.
women at the bar?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, you just like women for attention from males.
Yeah.
Did
Happens
you
all
ever
the
get
time.
accused of that?
Oh God, I get accused of that constantly. No.
Yes.
It's a constant thing, and you know it's because there are women at bars, and I'll tell you, it's been an experience of mine. It's been really interesting because like I'm dancing with this girl, we're just kind of like making out, we're having a great time, and like you know everything's going really well, and I'm just like, hey, would you, you know, either I'm like I would like to hook up with her, but probably not date her, or like this chick seems really cool, I'd like to date her, so like I either ask her back or I ask her out to dinner, and she's like, oh no, like my boyfriend's over there, and I'm like, really?
Bitch, that's happened to me a couple of times.
It happens all the time. It's and they go back over and their friends have a drink. So what I've started doing is that I know they're using me for a drink. So like I'll go back over with them. I'll be like, oh well, I was gonna get a drink too. And so I go over to the bar and they're like, you know, high-fiving her, and I come over and I'm like, do I get a drink too? And I'm like, because like I'm actually into women, and they're like, oh really? And suddenly all the attention is gone from her. And
It's funny.
it's great. And I'm like, see, you can't get attention for being like this. So I'm like trying to fix it.
Can I just say there's now a gender equivalent to the barsexual. It's the transtrender.
Oh God.
That's the prerogative term for like the alternative genders that right wingers use on Tumblr.
Oh, wow.
Transtrender.
One thing I find really interesting that's been happening a lot now is I go on Grindr and I see trans males and trans females, and the point of Grindr is supposed to be an all-male social app. And I get it's actually it's a big thing now. Like I have a lot of gay friends who were talking about it once, and like why? I don't want to say should they be on Grindr, why are they on Grindr, but it is awkward because like they'll be like pre-op like FTM, which of no shame, like you can do what you want, no hate, but it's like people are on there for like I don't like I guess it being bisexual, I'm attracted to like cisgenders, but like
that's kind of a trap.
huh?
Are you trying to get to that? It's like a trap or a
Yeah, and like of course I'm not going to be like, what is your genitalia? Even though on Grindr it only takes 3 messages to get a dick pic, but like, it's just like,
How do I get an account?
It's weird though, because now like Grindr is mainstream. Like when you talk about dating hookup apps, Tinder, Grindr, first two like list, but like. I don't know. I know a lot of gay people that would tell you that no, transgenders shouldn't be on Grindr because the whole point is males, or at least like only trans males should be on Grindr.
Yeah.
But like, it's a weird thing now. Like, maybe a little risque, but there's a documentary about a porn star. He's a trans male, but he's pre-op. So he has a vagina, and he's a porn star. And, like, his porn is just, like, guys fucking his vagina.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably send me a link.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
He's, like, a ginger. I don't remember his name, but, like, it's weird. And it's, like, because there are actually, like, you would think that the LGBT community would be pretty, like, uniform in acceptance for transsexuals, but it's, like, in some places more than others, like, in some contexts, it's not like that, especially when it comes to the dating world. Like, I know a lot of gay guys that are like, I wouldn't date a trans man, and, like, that, along with the whole thing, it's, like, is it transphobic to say on your Grindr profile that you don't want to date trans guys?
I don't know, but
I don't particularly. That's a great area.
Like, it's also a conversation with race too. Like you'll hear a lot of gay guys on Grindr say like, oh, the assholes that say no femmes, fatties, or blacks, but now it's no femmes, fatties, blacks, or trans.
Okay. So
It can be a little bit forward.
we are
Yeah, right.
we are actually at the 5-minute mark. So does anyone have any closing comments they would like to make before we go around and kind of tell everybody where they can find us?
Always gets better. Even
It does.
Russia will get better.
Well, let's not be too hasty. No, go ahead.
I've got two things in particular to say. One, if the people in your social group are not accepting of who and what you are, or that you're scared to reveal it to them, they are the wrong friends for you, and you need to socialize with different people. You need to surround yourself with loving individuals who you also love. And two, this is something that's very, very close to me, going back to something that's not really on this topic, but bullying. If you're being bullied, you tell somebody. If they're not going to do anything for you, the only way to stop a bully is with more aggression first. You hit them hard, you hit them first, and you end it. That is the only way that you're ever going to get out of that situation. A lot of people are going to argue me with that, but
I
I've
would,
been there,
but
I've been there, I've solved it, and that is the only way you're going to stop someone. You can
Well,
show them
it's
love in the world, but they're always going to take advantage of you. They're a bully, and you have to stop it.
Or you could try the knife trick. So there's a knife trick that they teach you. If you are getting beat up, you pull out a knife, and basically because you won't feel it at all, because your adrenaline's going so hard, you just cut yourself a little in a certain place, and then the person will think you're completely nuts, and they'll run away.
If you're
actually, to be
getting
honest, I'm pretty sure I know a girl that did that, and now that you just said that, and yeah.
No main arteries, guys. Be really careful.
if you're getting beat up and you have a knife, don't stab yourself, stab them.
Oh, dang. The
You
revolution
should be able
begins
to
tonight.
I don't know if I'd go as far as Kai, but I would say that you should be able to defend yourself, and please do stand up for yourself. It's totally worth it. Laurel, do you have any other closing thoughts?
Not really, just it does get better. I pretty much agree with everything that Kai says. I think you should be able to defend yourself because there have been situations where, and I know Kai has told me about, situations where nobody, believed him or nobody believed me. So it's like, well, I have to take things into my own hands. It's best if it doesn't get that far, but if it has to, you do need to be able to defend yourself. So.
Yeah. And Ricky, do you have any closing thoughts you want to make?
Let me think. No, I mean, to be honest, not really. I feel like, especially now with that Ben Carson comment going everywhere, there's a very nice conversation actually now about whether or not sexuality is a choice or if it's something that you're born with. But as one CNN commentator put it, who cares if it's a choice or not? We all need to respect each other.
Yeah,
And
that's why I didn't even bother to bring it up. I would rather enlighten people about how we are than discuss whether we were born with it or not.
So
Too many
never
shows
shit
have
on-
done it, and
never shit on anyone else's kink.
yeah.
You should embrace
Nice.
it. Everyone should embrace what they are. and what-
Let people be people. You know what's awesome about people is that they're all different. So get over it. If you have a problem with people being different, then your real problem, you need to look inside yourself because the real problem you have is probably with you. So anyway, where can they find you, Kai?
Where can they find me?
Yeah. Can they find you?
On the wind.
On
I
the-
was going to say that. I'm kind of gypsy around the country right now. I'm in New Hampshire. I live in Manchester for the moment.
You want to get a hold of Kai, you can get a hold of me.
Cool.
Yeah, you can get a hold of me on Facebook. My name is Kai Namesta. That's how you find me. I'm very recognizable. It's the only name. If you want to talk to me, I'm open to talking about literally anything at any time.
Cool. And Laurel, where do they find you?
I am also on Facebook. I have my makeup page, which is Neon Satyr, Satyr, and then my Facebook is under Laurel, and it's Leissetyr. and I believe A. They misspelled it, but it's Laurel N. Hawthorne you can look for as well. So Facebook is my main
Awesome.
source
And
of
Ricky, where can they
funsies.
find you?
You can find me on Facebook, Ricky Gellin, or on Tumblr. My Tumblr username is Vivons Libre, which is French for Let's Live Free. It's spelled VIVONS-LIBRE.tumblr.com.
Okay, and I just want to take a moment, guys. Make sure you like True Objective on Facebook. And I wanted to tell you that Calvin has decided to leave the show. He got a trip to Thailand to teach English, and we're all very happy for him. And so he's going to be doing that. And I will have a brand new host on next show. He will be on temporarily. And he is my last interview. So let's welcome Orion Martin as the new co-host, and we will have him on next week, where we will be talking about the idea of unconditional love. So that does it for the show, and I'm sure you know where to find me, Objectivist Girl, Lauren Rumpler Productions on Facebook, and all the other things that I do at laurenrumpler.com. So remember, guys, knowledge is not for all men, but for those who seek it. So truly, keep seeking.